Well, hello and welcome to the Brian Hornback Experience. This is episode 80, and this episode is to introduce you to somebody. Hope you're having a good time. We have just about 4 more days left of early vote in Knox County, and then we go to the May 3rd primary. I really am going to work this week to try to get some folks on that you haven't heard from yet. But I wanted to revisit something that I posted on the blog on Tuesday. Monday night at the Halls Republican Club, they heard from Chancellor Dino Cole. That's R. Dino Cole. School Board candidate Sherry Garrett, Trustee candidate Richard Jacobs, and County Commission candidate Rhonda Lee. They all spoke. After the door, now I sat on Monday night, I sat on the front row so that I could record all the talks. So I have recordings of Dino Cole, Sherry Garrett, Richard Jacobs, and Rhonda Lee, okay? After they gave the door prizes, which, by the way, I actually won one, I moved to the back of the room to stand with some friends of mine. And a lady had asked if she could ask Justin Biggs' opponent, that's Mr. Jacobs, a question. And so, of course, I start recording again. And she asked about a Facebook post that had been posted about about a board position that he'd served on with a group called We Are Open when he was over in Hungary, and he answered that question. But as he answered the question, or as he answered the question, and by the way, in that exchange, she asked him about his if he'd always been a Republican, and he said, and he pointed to me and said, "Where's Brian?" And I said that I had posted his voting record, which I had. And so I informed everybody that he had voted one time in Knox County since he'd been here in 2018. And then his voting record from up north shows that he'd never voted in a Republican primary. But anyway, so after that exchange with he and that lady were done, and he had me brought into the conversation, after all that was done, I was sitting there back to just kind of visiting with my friends, and the next thing I know, I've got Richard Jacobs right here on my left. And he came up to me and asked if I could speak to one of my minions. And I immediately said, I don't have minions. But apparently, he proceeded to complain about a post from the Republican Club that meets at the Fruit Cafe. That's the Fruition Cafe, which I told him I didn't know the Concord Ferry Club, which that's the club that meets at the Fruit Cafe. It's called the Fruition Cafe. I told him I didn't know they had a page. Anyway, apparently he thinks that I could tell someone or I can have post removed. So anyway, that was the crux of the blog post that I put up on Tuesday. I put up some pictures of some minions. And I also said in that blog post, I'm reading from the blog post, which, as y'all know, those of you watching on YouTube, I don't normally look down. I normally always try to look at the camera. I said, I guess I'm the high sheriff of Facebook Popo. Who knew? I just wish that Zuckerberg would direct deposit my salary. Anyway, all that to say that I've had a lot of reactions since Tuesday from a lot of people. I've gotten texts, I've gotten calls. People want to know if they're my minion, if they could be my minion, how they could get on the minion group of minions. I didn't really realize to that extent, so I need to introduce somebody to you. I now realize that in order to have the amount of minions it's going to take, I needed to hire somebody. I needed to hire a chief deputy of minions. So as I'm out doing my normal job, I found somebody that fits the perfect criteria to be the chief deputy of my minions. And so those of you that have been approved to be minions as of Tuesday night, y'all will not answer to me. Y'all answer to my chief deputy of minions. And so let me get out of the way and introduce you to Kevin. Kevin is my chief deputy of minions. As you can see, he's listening to the podcast with the earphones on. He's wearing the appropriate BrianHornback.com hat. He's even hydrating himself with some Fiji water. So expect to see Kevin in most of the podcasts moving forward. And those of you that have been approved as minions, you now answer to Kevin. And so there you go. There's the new member of the Brian Hornback .com team and the podcast, the Brian Hornback Experience team. Oh, while I hydrate myself through a Buc-ee's cup. They're coming. They're close. They're close in getting that one in Crossville built. So I am extremely pleased that Buc-ee's will be in Crossville, because my real job takes me there on a regular basis. And they're still building and clearing land for the one at exit 407, which I believe when it gets open, it'll be the largest Buc-ee's in the country. But I did see over the last couple of weeks that they have announced that the largest Buc-ee's will eventually be built in Texas, where they're from. So 407 will be the largest for a brief period of time. And then, of course, it has to go back to Texas because Buc-ee's started in Texas. So, of course, the biggest one has to be in Texas. So 407 will get the biggest Buc-ee's for a small period of time, and then it'll go back to Texas. But didn't want to take a lot of your time today, but I did want you to see Kevin. I think it's appropriate that Kevin crosses his arms the way that I cross my arms when you see me out and about. I think it's appropriate that he has the facial expression he has. And I think from what I understand in talking to Kevin, he's a lot like me. He'll be easy to work with for all you minions out there. Again, we're still trying to figure out the whole how we can get posts taken down and people thrown in Facebook jail. We haven't figured that out yet. Apparently, Mr. Jacobs thinks that I can do that, but we haven't figured that out yet. So here's the official group photo for those of you watching on YouTube. The official photograph of me and my chief deputy, Kevin, the chief deputy of minions, Mr. Kevin. Anyway, didn't want to take a lot of time. I wanted to get him introduced to you so that y'all are aware moving forward that Kevin's in charge of the minions. So any work assignments that you're given will go through Kevin. And we want to thank Justin Biggs' opponent for hooking me up. Kevin was currently unemployed when I found him in Blaine, Tennessee. So he's happy to, doesn't look like it, but he's happy to be here. He's happy to be employed. He's happy to be chief deputy of the minions. And he's been adequately compensated. He's been properly maintained. The temperature here in the location is to his liking. So anyway, hope you all have a great day. And I just wanted to introduce you to the chief deputy of minions. Y'all have a great one.